Hey everybody, we're going to be talking about the epic conclusion to the Stipe DC fight and the rest of UFC 252. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Tim Fulton.
I'm Andy Smith.
And this is Fight Recap.
Fight Recap.
UFC 252, better known as the end of the trilogy between Stipe and DC.
Yeah.
It was a night of pain.
Dude, so excellent fight.
Excellent fight. Let's just get down to it.
Both-
Stipe versus DC.
Both of these dudes have fucking incredible chins. Never seen anybody take damage like Stipe.
Good God. He
Just-
took a lot of hits.
Just eats punches that would fucking drop everyone else. And he doesn't even seem to be fazed by him at all.
And it was funny because you were saying, you would say something and the commentators would say it right after.
Yeah.
But everyone was saying, like, these are the same punches that knocked him out in the first fight.
Yeah.
The same punches.
Yeah, he kept throwing that looping right hook on the break.
Yeah.
And what he did for at least half of them, I would say, or negated half of them, was he kept holding on to his wrist when they broke. So that way he couldn't throw it. And every time he didn't do that, DC would throw it. And he would land a lot of the time. And those were the shots that were really hurting him.
Yeah. It was almost like that was his game plan going into it, but it wasn't his natural movement. So he
Yeah.
would, like, forget it was
Yeah.
there.
And then, a couple right hooks and he got reminded.
That'll remind you real fast.
So both guys took an eye poke, but not all eye pokes are created equal.
Not all eye pokes are crazy.
Stipe got eye poke first. He had trouble with his eyes before the fight, which is why they said the fight was postponed. And then DC got poked, and I've never seen an eye look that different in that kind of way after an eye poke.
Yeah.
And still continue.
Yeah, honestly, it makes me a little bit nervous because in the interview afterwards, you could tell it was like,
He said he has no vision. Not that it's blurry. He said it's black.
yeah, according to him, there's no vision in that eye, and it didn't even look like it was pointed in the same direction as like
Well,
it
it
looked
looked
like he
dark.
Yeah.
It looked darker, not blood. It looked just like it was ruptured or I don't know. But the inside of his eyelid was like puffy and swollen.
Yeah.
I really hope he doesn't like lose vision in that eye.
Good
that
God.
would be fucking horrible. They got to do something with the gloves to like make it harder to open your hand,
Something.
because they have those gloves like the old Pride gloves that are the fingers on the gloves are arced downward, so that when you're naturally holding your hand like to paw, your fingers, you have to fight against the glove to open up your hand, whereas the UFC gloves are kind of straighter,
Yeah.
so you're naturally more
Inclined to open your hand.
And when you think about it, there's not many times when you need to open your hand like this. It would almost be more beneficial to have it arced, because then you're not fighting against the glove to grapple.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. And I don't train, so I don't know enough in either direction to.
All I know is that too many people get poked in the eye.
Yeah, and that's been like a string of things that we've been seeing recently.
and it's
like a huge string.
The glove is not the end all be all, but it's an improvement. I think they can improve it. So this is DC's last fight. He said that, he only wants to fight for titles, and after this fight he doesn't think there's any titles in the future. He's 42 years old.
Yeah.
Stipe goes down, like he was going to go down before, as the greatest heavyweight, if not definitely one of the greatest heavyweights. But yeah, he didn't really seem. They even mentioned it. He didn't really seem like overly elated after the fight. He was just, maybe because there's no crowd or whatever, or maybe because of the eye poke.
I'm sure all those things have to do with it. Plus, this is the
Exhausted.
first time that they went the distance. He's probably a little on the tired side.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. Maybe like I said, no crowd, and it's almost like somber especially when like you're watching from home, when there's no cheers, and after you see somebody like DC have a career that he had, and it ends on that, like the weird eye poke thing, and it's just silence.
I know.
It's uncomfortable.
It was weird because when they first did the no crowd thing, and again, they have to, like, part of me was like, oh, this is kind of cool, because sometimes the crowd can be distracting.
Yes. For some fights, I like it better, but for some, it's almost like you want someone to start talking.
Yeah.
So
break the silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was.
I also find it weird when the guys yell and scream.
The fighters.
when after the win, when there's no, it's not that there's anything different, but there's no crowd, so it just sounds like somebody's throwing a tantrum or something.
Yeah,
It's just weird.
because there's nothing to hype up. It's like other than themselves.
Yeah, well, normally you don't really hear them. You just
Yeah.
see them. You might hear a little bit, but now it's just like you hear someone yell.
Just so different.
Yeah, so that sucks. Congrats to Stipe and fucking.
Sorry, DC.
It sucks because that's like the life story of DC's career is that he always came out second. It's the Olympics, second to John Jones. He did beat Stipe.
He did.
So he has that on his. No one can ever take that away from him. And this did go to a decision, so it did prove that, could have went either way. I don't know about the 49-46
Yeah,
score.
I think everyone's in agreement that was weird.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But
I mean, there was the eye poke, but at least through the first 3 rounds, I had a 2-1 Stipe. I know that's like a.
Well, he definitely won the second.
Definitely won the second.
Definitely won the second round, and I thought he won the third.
But then
there was a flurry or something at the end that might have been. But the thing is I think what won him most of the rounds was the clinch work on the cage.
Yeah.
Because everything else was so even, that was really the only deciding factor.
Well, I think that was mostly in the 4th and 5th round.
No, he was doing that.
Oh, in the third.
Yeah,
No,
he
you're
started
right,
doing
you're
it
right,
heavy
right,
in the
right.
third. But yeah, he just I think that's what was the deciding factor. But yeah, I don't feel weird about this fight.
Yeah, me too.
I don't like the eye poke. Not that Stipe definitely didn't do it on purpose. But
No, I agree with you.
yeah, the ref didn't see it either. So they
And-
might have stopped the fight if they had the ref
Oh,
check his
dude,
eye.
could you
Because if he
imagine?
couldn't see and they covered his eye, he wouldn't have been able to tell him
Yeah.
if he really can't see anything.
I don't know if that would have been better or worse.
They
Could
would
you
have had to fight
imagine
again.
Wait, what?
They would have had to fight again. Not had to, but
I know.
kind of.
They would have had to.
All right, so speaking of more weird endings,
Dude, it was a weird ass night.
yeah, the Sugar Show, the Sugar Train has been derailed by Marlon Vera. But
The Sugar Train almost derailed himself, kind of.
yeah, but we don't know where the injury came from.
That's true. That's true.
But Dominic Cruz said that he didn't take any low calf kicks. So whatever happened in the fight, Sean either blew out his ankle, broke his foot, something, and he rolled it again after he injured it initially, and then it got really bad, which ended up, I think, in part to the takedown, and then he took some hellacious elbows.
He did take a lot of elbows, and
He got knocked out for a second.
you think so?
I think he lost touch with reality for a little bit there, because if you watch that second elbow or the third elbow, like he kind of went limp for a second. It wasn't good, man. It wasn't good. I think it was a good stoppage. He was injured.
I was actually about to say, so I guess you don't think it was an early stoppage?
No, because he was injured.
Yeah.
He was visibly injured, and the ref has to take that into account. Like, okay, he survives this. Can he even stand up?
Yeah.
There's a lot of multiples in that scenario, and I think it was better to save the career than try to win the day with that.
Oh, I definitely agree with you there, and I think it was still a hilariously great job by Vera. I use weird adjectives. A good job by Vera. It's just shitty that this is the first loss O'Malley has, right?
Yes, it's a weird
It's a
in
crappy
the UFC.
weight.
Yeah, it's a weird fucking outcome, because he had this happen again in another UFC fight, one of his first, and he actually broke his foot.
Ugh.
And the guy that he was fighting just refused to. He went to the ground with him, I think, and instead of just he couldn't stand up, and the guy could have won the fight if he just said stand up, but he didn't. He went to the ground with him and he finished him, and then he immediately rolled over in pain. So it's weird. There's a lot of problems with that foot or that ankle, whatever it was. But yeah, it sucks. It's a weird ending, and you can't take anything away from Marlon Vera because shit happens in fights. But it's hard. You can't ignore it completely.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where there's always going to be an asterisk there.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens when this comes back.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what both of these injuries end up being, and for O'Malley, what the actual cause was.
Yeah.
All right, last but not least on our list, we have Junior Dos Santos versus Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck, powerhouse.
Yeah.
Absolute freaking powerhouse.
Both these guys coming off losses. Junior, this is his third in a row, I think they said. This is one of those weird ones, man, where
I thought Junior looked fantastic.
Yeah, it's not that the guys don't have it anymore. It's not that he doesn't have it anymore. It's just you're in the heavyweight division. You can't make any mistakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Two power strikers. I mean, if you bet money on if this fight was going to go the distance, most people would say no, and it didn't. But yeah, man, I don't think it's that Junior doesn't have it. I mean, yeah, he's up there in age, but he looks fantastic. His
movement was incredible.
Well, the shape that he was in was way better.
Yeah,
like he looks like he's in better shape than he was at any point in his career. But again, Rozenstruik is a fucking monster. So if he touches you, there's a good chance you're going to be fucked.
Overeem can attest to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it just sucks. I don't know what Junior's going to do. He'll probably keep fighting, but it's hard when you're on 3 losses.
Yeah.
And when you have a name as big as his, former champ and all this, you don't get easy fights. And now 3 losses in a row.
Your way back up.
Yeah, you're feeling like shit.
Yeah.
It's a hard sport. Hard sport.
And he's in a bad mood because
it's just weird, man. The last 2 fights, especially, like they just ended like nobody wants to see fights end like that.
Yeah, they ended in a way you don't want to see,
or things happen in them that you don't want to see. Especially like with there was a lot riding on these 2 fights, right? They put Sean O'Malley on the cover of the game that just came out, right?
Which is the curse, isn't it?
I think it might be.
I think that they say that's the fucking curse.
Yeah, but then DC's his last fight, and in both of those fights, something fucking weird happened.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Good job to the winners.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I ain't got anything else.
All right, we got nothing left. It's like 2:00 in the morning over here. Let us know what you thought about these fights in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell notification so you can make sure you get all of our good shit. And speaking of good shit, don't forget to go to brodownpro.com where we have all the cool-ass Brodown gear.
That's true. Also, limited time only on Etsy. 15% off tanks and tees. Free shipping on anything $35 or more.
So go to Etsy and look up Brodown Pro. We'll catch you guys next time.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day.